No sleep till Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn. Don't mess with Marvel. I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, guys. Loved it. I thought, while this is not my favorite one of the franchise, the first one is still going to be the best. It still was a really good film, and I really enjoyed it. Had some fun. I got some laughs, got some emotions, because you know me, I'm a softie. And but there were problems, but I'll get to that. Now, this movie came out last week. I got to see it at a matinee, for like $9, so I didn't have to spend too much. And I'm just glad that the movie was, worth the long wait, because we had to wait 6 years for this one. First, Gunn got fired, and then, they had to bring him back, and then you had the COVID, which pushed it for many years, and then now we got it. And it finally came out, and it's doing well. It already made $300 million worldwide. It's a hit. It's not going to be a $1 billion hit like Mario, but it's not a flop. And yeah, the film, the Guardians embark on a mission to protect Rocket from Higher Evolutionary, who is one of the worst villains ever, but I'll get to that. The film cost $200 million and $50 million. The money's on the screen. There's a lot of good effects in this movie. The makeup effects, the costumes, most of the costumes, and the visuals, the CG looks great. Awesome, just like the first two films. The cast mostly does great when they're there. Pom Klementieff and Batista steal the show. They're hilarious. She's very cute and funny and charming. Chris Pratt does what he does. Zoe Saldana was good to see her back. We missed her from the second movie. Karen is always good. What can you say about her? She nails this. She's got great action sequences in the movie. Vin Diesel as Groot. It was good to hear his voice again as an adult Groot. And Bradley Cooper. But the thing is, one thing that they did wrong in this one, Rocket and Groot get sidelined until the third act. So if you're looking for a lot of jokes from Rocket, you don't really get it in this one until the third act. I guess they were busy. Sean Gunn, it was good to see him back. You had Sylvester Stallone had a cameo just like the second movie. The score was pretty good. There's a lot of emotional stuff at the end that when I got to the third act there's going to be a few spoilers here, but not too many. The scene with the raccoons you saw in the trailer, yeah, that broke me. I saw that and I was crying. And also the third act, there's a very emotional scene at the end. There's two post-credit scenes. The first one is pretty cool. The second one is pretty skippable. It's just going to hint one of the characters isn't dead and will show up in another Marvel movie, but we don't know when. Now for the issues. Yes, Josh, there's plenty of issues, so bear with me. Don't attack me in accusations yet. Let me say my piece. The movie's too long. This is not The Last Jedi, guys. You could have cut 15 or 20 minutes of this running time. You didn't need the subplot with the kids. We already did that with Thor: Love and Thunder, and that one, they did much better with that one, because the kids fight at the end. Here, the kids are just there to be captured, like in Temple of Doom, and then you release them. And they say Juju a lot. Why? Because Gunn is a very weird writer. Some of the writing was a little bit off for me. Like, some of the jokes were kind of gross, and there was an F-bomb that did not need to be in this movie. You could have cut it out. Gunn just did that because he's like this to Marvel for firing him and then rehiring him, and he colored his hair white and went nuts and was like, yeah, I'm going to add an F-bomb I didn't get to do in the first two films, because there was no middle finger this time. The villain sucked. Yeah. The Sovereign, what's his name? This guy from Peacemaker who can't act. He's overacting his ass off in this movie. What's his name? Chukwudi Uwuji. Why do these people have these weird African names? You're British. You don't need to try to hide your name with a freaking Kaluya and Boyenga and Boyega and freaking Elba. You don't sound black. You sound British. He's like, there is no God. I took his place. I'm like, fuck you. You're terrible. What is wrong with you? These people have the most African names and they sound British. I don't care if that sounds racist. They don't sound black. Josh sounds blacker than you. And he doesn't have a stupid accent like that. Or overacts. Anyway, yeah, the High Revolutionary is a terrible villain. He looks like a bootleg RoboCop and Kang the Conqueror. Jonathan Majors, as much as he was underused in the first half of that movie in Quantumania, he's still a better villain than this guy. He's not overacting. It's a very more subtle performance. And it's a better performance than this. Adam Warlock, he gets underused in the movie. Will Poulter shows up in the beginning. He attacks Rocket. That's all I'm going to say. And then he disappears. He does fuck all until the third act. He just whines and complains and he just says "mumsy" and all that, and I'm like, yeah, he's also another shitty British actor. You didn't need Brits in this movie. The first two movies already had that. You didn't need them. They're not even diversity hires. They're just villains thrown in there. Warlock should have been in a freaking Disney Plus show. Like the Eternals. You should have put them, three of them in a Disney Plus show and write them better, and it would have been less painful. This movie was almost as long as Eternals. It was not as boring. I will say that. The middle, it drags a bit. There's a lot of flashbacks with Rocket. We get that. That's in the trailer. Linda Cardellini was cute. Her voice, she came back. At this time, she was Lila, the sea otter. He also had cameos that could have been cut. I love Nathan Fillion. It's good to see him in a James Gunn project again, but he could have been cut for time. Sylvester Stallone, he was a good cameo. I did like Daniela Melchior's cameo as, what was her name? Uga? What was she? Judy Grimm. Tara Strong was the voice of Miss Minutes and Loki. Voices Mainframe. Oh yeah, because Miley wasn't available. What was Daniela's character? She was the purple girl with the purple face. She was cute there. It was good to see her in something different. Gunn wanted to use her because she was a standout character in the Suicide Squad. Seth Green, Greg Henry as Quill's grandfather. Yeah, that was a good scene too, but I'm not going to get to that. What was the other one? The Walrus. Yeah, she was Ura, the girl that was at when they go to meet with the characters. With Nathan Fillion, those crab characters. And yeah, she has a small part, but it's kind of cute. She's nice in the movie. Nico Santos, he's hit or miss for me. I mean, he's a gay actor. He was in Superstore, so what do you expect? It's a diversity hire. And also, I did like the effects on those creatures that they had in the movie, the pig and all that. They look great. Really badass. A cyborg bird. Yeah, there's a lot. James Gunn's a weird guy, guys. He's going to throw a lot of weird imagery in your face. But the makeup and the special effects are done really well. The action is great. The no sleep for Brooklyn scene, I'm going to just say that's the highlight of the movie. It's the best action scene in the film. The soundtrack, it's hit and miss. I prefer the soundtrack in the first two films. The soundtrack doesn't get good in this movie till the end. And of course they have a reference to the first movie because why not? And they said the site's consensus is a galactic group hug that might squeeze a little too tight in the heartstrings. The final Guardians of the Galaxy is a loving last hurrah for the MCU's most ragtag family. Yeah, that's until we get the Fantastic Four done right. It's good, well done, but it's too long. Marvel, stop making these movies 2.5 hours. Just stop. If it's Avengers, I'll let it go. There's a lot of characters. But in a Guardians movie, it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. Black Panther doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. Across the Spider-Verse, you can cut 10 minutes. I know that that's going to be too long. There's going to be too many characters in it. Gwen and Miles are not the problem. Get it? They are not the problem. The Spot is going to be the problem. Kaluuya is going to be the problem. And the 50 other characters that don't need to be there are going to be the problem. Rio and all that. You don't need that. Less is more. Look at the second movie. They didn't have 35 characters that they introduced. You had Taserface, who's not in this one. I think he died. And Yondu's not in this one. What was it? Mantis. I love her in these movies. And Ego was better villain. The best of the three villains in these movies. But is the movie going to get some Oscars for the effects? Yeah, definitely. I will say this: the effects are better than MODOK in Quantumania, but I enjoyed that more because it was shorter. It did not feel like 2.5 hours. I know people are going to disagree with me. Go ahead, go right ahead. But Quantumania was so underrated this year that I preferred it only slightly because it was shorter. And while the villain was not in the whole film, at least when he shows up, he means business. He's not cracking jokes. He's not doing weird faces, and he's not screaming like this Sovereign guy is. It's just, he's horrible. Horrible. Stop casting that actor, James Gunn. He sucked in Peacemaker and he sucks in this movie. He can't act. He makes Idris Elba look Oscar worthy. Yeah. Melchior is a cameo. She did the best she could. I'm not going to say she was terrible. None of the girls were terrible here. Judy Greer as the alien child. She was the voice of the War Pig. She did fine. Tara Strong. The octopus cameos with Lloyd Kaufman as the Grindelwald. Pete Davidson was Feltic. That's another thing. James Gunn loves using the same actors in everything. Ever since the 2000s. Yes, I know the battery's low. Cosmo the dog was cute. I liked her voice. His voice. It's a boy voiced by a girl. But she was fine. The voice that did Cosmo, He has some moments at the end. He's a cute dog, and like I said, it has its heart in the right place. The heart is still in the movie, and even when Rocket wasn't on screen, I'm like, I felt for him, and when I saw those raccoons, I was a mess because I'm like, Gunn. One thing Gunn does know how to do is emotion. He knows how to get emotions from his actors mostly, except for this guy where he's overacting. He needed to be toned down. Decaf, sir. Chihuachi, whatever your name is, I don't care. It's not worth saying. Just, next time get a better villain. I know I'm not going to care about the villain in the Marvels, but the three girls are going to kick ass and screw the haters. But like I said, it's a good movie. Go see it in the theater if you're interested. If you like the first two, you'll enjoy this. But it's got some lesser version. It's a lesser movie than the first two because of a couple of issues I had with it. I don't think it's the best of the three. I think it's a good one, but the first two were better. But it is still better than Love and Thunder. It's still better than Wakanda Forever. It's not as sad, and also it's not Eternals. Any movie that's not Eternals is a freaking victory for me. Because after that shit bored me to tears, I never want to see a Marvel movie that boring again. This one at least was not boring. It's very stimulating. It's fun, but there's some things that could have been trimmed out just for my sake. And I don't want to spoil too much because, like I said, there's a lot of things that I want you guys to experience. But it's fun. It's worth your time. And it's going to make money because, it's Guardians. And while the first two are better, it's still a nice conclusion to this trilogy. And Gunn got to finish it. So I don't regret seeing it in the theater. I had fun. Thanks for watching. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next review. See you later.